You're on this.
Shabbat Shalom. Baruch haba. Shabbat Shalom. Baruch haba. Welcome. We welcome you to this morning's Boker Shabbat morning service, morning teaching. And so this morning we are in the book Shemot, in Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus, and chapter 19. And verse 24, we started last week, we're going to finish this up today. Verse 24. And we're speaking to this Mashiach, the Messiah, prophet, priest, and king. So everyone say, Mashiach, prophet, priest, king. Navi, Kohen, Melech. Okay? Prophet, priest, and king. And the reason why is because we pointed out some things as we closed last week, as we were closing last week, concerning these offices. And the primary thing that we pointed out last week concerning these offices is that the priest cannot be the king. And the king cannot be the priest. They are two separate offices. And so we're going to go back and we're going to speak to why that is. Ve'omed Elan Adonai Legrad ve'alita ata ve'acharon imak ve'hakochanim ve'ha'am al יחרסו לעלות אל אדוני פן ויפרץ בם. And so the English says this, and Adonai said to him, go, descend, and then you shall ascend. So Moshe's up with him. He's in the midst of the cloud. Remember, he went running up the mountain. While the people were there fearing and trembling, he goes running up the mountain. And Hashem tells him, God tells him, go back down. He gives him some instructions and tells him, go back down. The instructions basically saying, you need to go back, reassert your boundaries to make sure that no animals, no humans come close to the mountain. Because if they come near the mountain, if they touch the mountain, I will be forced to slay them, to kill them. So make sure that no one comes near. And Moshe kind of says, but you've already told us not to go near. And God says, go. I've already given you your instructions, go. And so here, Adonai says to him, go. Do what I'm telling you to do. Go. Descend. And then you shall ascend, and Aharon with you. But the Kohanim, the priests, and Kol Ha'am, all of the people, shall not break their formation to ascend to Adonai, lest he wreak destruction upon them. So we have several curious things here. These things be, number one, why can Moshe ascend the mountain? And now, Aharon, his brother, Aaron. Why is it that they are able to go up the mountain? But notice that he says this. He says, V'chakohanim v'cha'am el shall not yechesu la'alot, to come up. Shall not cross over, to come up. Shall not go through, to come up. Aliyah, the word aliyah, right? Aliyah, to go up, to ascend. And so that's the word la, to alot, go up, to ascend. How many of you know the name of the Israeli airline? El Al. Which is rooted, both of those words are rooted in to go up. Aliyah. To make an ascent. To ascend. This word Aliyah, wherever you are in the world, if you go to Israel, it is called Aliyah. You're going up to Israel. Wherever you are in Israel, if you're going to Jerusalem, it is said that you are making Aliyah to Jerusalem. Aliyah le Jerusalem. You are ascending. And wherever you are in Jerusalem, in Jerusalem, if you're going to the Beit Hamikdash, to the temple, if you're going to the Temple Mount, it is said that you are making Aliyah. You're going up to the Temple Mount. The curious thing about this is that we say that we're going up to Israel, and yet Israel is actually a lowland nation. In fact, it has the lowest point in all of the earth, the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea sits lower than any other spot. The bottom of the Dead Sea sits lower than any spot on the landmass. It's why it's hot and unbearable there. It's absolute desert. Even the Sea of Galilee is quite low in comparison to many other places on the earth. And yet we say we're going up to Israel. Aliyah le'Yisrael. Going up. A person who moves from the United States to Israel is said to make Aliyah, to go up, to ascend. Jerusalem is the capital. And it is up in mountains. What is called mountains in Israel is not what we think of as mountains here. I remember when I was growing up, we spent quite a few summers in Colorado, in Durango, Colorado. And Durango is in the midst of the Sangre de Cristo and San Jose mountain ranges. Sangre de Cristo coming up from Santa Fe, right? We call these mountains, it's the beginning of what we call the Rocky Mountains, the Rockies. So starting in Santa Fe, New Mexico, the Sangre de Cristo, and they make their way up into Colorado, and in Colorado, the range becomes the San Jose Mountains. And right on the edge, on the western edge of the San Jose mountain range is Durango. And as you go up, if you go up into the mountains, you can go over to Pagosa Springs, and up through there, and up into Aspen. And if you go into these places, if you go up into Aspen, Colorado, I remember when the boys were young, we took them on a vacation. We went up to Yellowstone National Park. We literally drove up the back of the Rockies. And we went up a mountain pass called Independence Pass. Look it up. It is the highest pass in Colorado. In the Rockies, you are literally several miles up. You're up in the air. You're so high. You're up so high in the air that it's hard to breathe. We were up so high in the air, plants were not growing. We got out, they have a place where you can stop and get out and look. We got out. It was July 4th. July 4th. And we got out. And the snow was up to our waist. We went walking through the snow. Yeah, we got out of the car, parked on the side of the road, got out of the car, and went walking through the snow up to the top of the mountain, all the way up to the top of the mountain. When you were up on the top of the mountain, you wanted to sing, I'm on the top of the world looking. Why? The young people don't even know what I'm singing. Why?
I know.
Oh. Your view. You were on top of the earth. You were on top of the world. And we could see the other mountains. We could see the tops of you could see forever. You could see the curvature of the earth from up there. So why am I saying all of this? Because we say Aliyah Yerushalayim, to go up to Jerusalem. And yet, is Jerusalem the highest city? No. Basically, it's like saying I'm going up to Fredericksburg. Well, from here, yes, you go up to Fredericksburg, but if you're north of Fredericksburg, you're going down to Fredericksburg, right? But wherever you are in the world, if you're going to Jerusalem, you say, Aliyah Yerushalayim, I'm going up to Jerusalem. That's what we sing in the morning, right? Up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem. In Har Zion, Mount Zion, Beit Hamikdash, where the temple is that the highest mountain? Can I share something with you? It's not even the highest mountain in Israel. Can I share something else with you? It's not even the highest mountain in Jerusalem. Right behind it, there's actually a higher mountain. And yet, wherever you are in Jerusalem, you say, Le'aliyah Har Zion. Or Le'aliyah Har Beit Mikdash. We're going up to the temple, up the Temple Mount, up to Zion. Why? Because it's not about altitude. It's not that Israel is the highest land on the earth. It's not that Jerusalem is the highest city on the earth. It's not that the temple is, that Zion is the highest mountain on the earth. It's not about physical altitude. It's about holiness. It's about spiritual altitude. Thus, Israel, we call Israel Eretz HaKodesh, the Holy Land. Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, the Holy City. Har Zion, Beit Hamikdash, the Temple Mount, we call Har HaKodesh, the Holy Mountain. So the reason why we say that we are going up to Israel, up to Jerusalem, up to the Temple Mount is not because of their height and altitude, physical altitude, but their height in spirituality. That these are the possession of God Himself. Say what? Israel does not belong to Hagoyim, to the nations. Israel belongs to God. It is His land. Yerushalayim does not belong to the Palestinians. It belongs to God. Har Beit Hamikdash, the Temple Mount, does not belong to the Muslims. It belongs to God. Now, in saying that, we can also say that Israel does not belong to the Jew. That Jerusalem does not belong to the Jew. That the Temple Mount does not belong to the Jew. That it belongs to God. But God gave it over to them. This is their land. This is their land. Because it is God's land. And God said that it was for them. That He reserved it for them. And so it is that. So, this is why, la'alot, to go up. But he tells the Kohanim, he tells the priests, you may not go up. So the question is, why Moshe? Why Aharon? Aharon, remember we discussed last week, who is Aharon? Who will he be? What will he be? Kohen Hagadol. Everyone say Kohen Hagadol. Again, Kohen Hagadol. Kohen meaning priest, Hagadol, the great, the high priest. So Aharon will be the high priest. And in fact, as we discussed last week, no priest, no Kohen may be a Kohen. You may not be Kohen, you may not be Kohanim, except you be directly descended from Aharon. You must be a direct descendant of Aaron in order to be a priest. Not just to be a high priest, in order to be a priest. And in order to serve in the temple, in order to do temple service, that is to play the instruments, to sing in the choir, to help with the sacrifices, to all of these things, to keep the fires going on all of these things, in order to do all of this, you must be Ha-Levi. You must be from the tribe of Levi, from the tribe of Levi. So you have the priests and the Levites throughout the Torah. They're always mentioned together, the priests and the Levites. Ha-Kohanim ve-Ha-Levi. That these are the direct descendants of Aharon and the direct descendants of the tribe of Levi, the son of Yaakov, ben Yaakov. So what is so special about Moshe that he can go up? What is so special about Aharon that he can go up, but not the Kohanim and not the people? And if the Kohanim come near, if the priests come near, and the people come near, God will smite them. He says what? Lest he wreak destruction upon them. Lest he destroy them. So Moshe went down to the people and he told them, he said this to them. Ve'ered Moshe el ha'am. And descended Moshe to the people. Ve'omer elechem. Ve'omer, and he spoke elechem to them. It is not that Moshe and Aharon are without sin. It is, in fact, who they represent. For when they ascend, they are not ascending in their own stead. Notice what God says to Moshe here. Are you ready? Because there's some cool stuff here. Are you ready? Notice what God says to Moshe. Go and do what? Come on, verse 24. Go.
Bring Aaron up with you.
Okay. But first he tells him, Ve'omer, Elan, Adonai, Lech, rain, go down. You, go down. Descend. And then you shall ascend. Who does that sound like? Who descended and then ascended? Yeshua. So Moshe's up there in the glory cloud. He's up there in the Shekhinah, and God says to him, go down and then come back up. Saying you have a picture of the Mashiach here being given to you. Who is it that dwells in the midst of the Shekhinah? Malach Adonai, the angel of the Lord. Who is the angel of the Lord? He is called Metatron. Who is Metatron? He is the Mashiach. All of this not by Christianity, not through the church. All of this by the Zohar. All of this by the sages. In fact, when we were studying this, I gave to you the words of Nachmanides concerning this. I gave you the word of Rashi concerning this. Rashi says very plainly and very clearly that Malach Adonai, that this angel of the Lord is Adonai himself, and that he dwells in the midst of the Shekhinah. And so now you have Moshe dwelling, you have Moshe up there in the midst of the Shekhinah. And the voice speaks to him and tells him, Red, go down, descend. Alotah, and then you shall ascend. Alotah. We just spent 15 minutes talking about what? Aliyah. Alotah. To go up. You shall go up. The alotah, ata, the aharon. You and Aaron shall go up. So he tells Moshe, you're going to come down, and then you're going to come back up, and when you come up, Aharon with you. Aharon with you. But no one else. Did not bring anyone else with you. Not the priest and not the people. Just you and Aharon. Why? Because God is drawing for us a picture. He's making a metaphor. He's using an analogy here. And he's using Moshe and Aharon as his analogy. As we said, it is Yeshua. And Yeshua talks about this. He speaks to this to the Prushim, to the Pharisees, quoting David HaMelech from Tehillim, from the Psalm, when he says, who shall ascend? He who has already descended. That you must descend first and then you ascend. If you are from the earth's perspective, then what? You ascend first and then you descend. So Yaakov, when he had his vision of the stairway to heaven, not the rock song, when he had his vision of the stairway to heaven, of the ladder to heaven, he saw the angels doing what? He saw the Malachim doing what? Ascending first and descending. Why? Because it was from the earth's perspective. And so it was ascending and descending. But here, and in Tehillim, in the Psalm, David HaMelech writes that who shall ascend? He who has first descended. The opposite way, coming down first and then going up. Meaning what? That we shall have a heavenly visitation. We are going to have a visitation from heaven. And who is this visitor? It is appropriate that at this time of the year we're speaking to this. Because this is what Rosh Hashanah is all about, the coming of the King. We are going to have a heavenly visitation. The King is coming. What did we just say a few minutes ago when we were making the announcements? What month are we in? We are in the month of Elul, and Elul is the month of what? The King walking through the field. Say it. The King is walking through the field. Say it. The King is walking through the field. Say what? He's approaching. He's coming near. He's drawing near to us. The King is coming. He's drawing near to us. What is the story that Yeshua said? That Yeshua spoke concerning the coming of Mashiach and the coming of Olam Chava, the coming of the age to come, the Malchut HaMashiach, the Messianic kingdom, is likened to a groom when he goes to get his wife, and the shout goes out, the bridegroom comes. And then all of the people, the bride and all of her family come out to greet him. This is in effect the Jewish wedding. We've spoken to this. The Jewish wedding, usually in a Christian wedding, usually the bride is hidden away, right? The bride, it's bad luck to see the bride. Especially for the groom. I don't know why. Thankfully, we don't believe in luck. We believe that God controls everything. There's nothing by chance. But the bride is hidden away. And where's the groom? He's with his groomsmen out in the foyer of the church. Right? Greeting people, laughing, talking. And the groomsmen are escorting the guests down and having them seated and everything. In a Jewish wedding, it's reversed. It's not the bride who's hidden away, it's the groom who's hidden away. And the bride is the one who's out in the foyer. It's the bride who's out in the public domain. And everyone's coming up and greeting her. I hope they don't get tired, and I hope you don't get tired of me using it, but it's a beautiful example. Richard and Charity's wedding. Where what? Richard was hidden away in the back over at Oak Hill Event Center. Richard was hidden away in the back, and where was Charity? Charity and the ladies were seated there at the entrance and the people coming in. And so as you came in, you greeted the bride. This is a Jewish wedding. You greeted the bride. And you went and you took your seat. And then as the wedding was beginning to prepare, what? There's a signal given to the bride that it's time. And what is the signal? The blasting of a shofar. She hears the shofar, she stands up, and she goes to meet the groom. So it's not that the groom is waiting for the bride at the front, but rather that she goes down and she meets him at the back, and she brings him up, in effect. It's opposite. Why? This is what Yeshua was saying. That the groom is saying, where's Yeshua today? Where's Mashiach today? He's hidden away. He's made his betrothment. He's offered the contract, right? He's offered the ketubah. And now what? You make your decision. He's gone to do what? What does a Jewish husband do? What does a Jewish groom do in the intermission? He goes to build a home for his new bride. So where's Mashiach? Where's Yeshua today? He's home building. He went back. He's up there doing what? I go to prepare a place for you.
Many mansions.
Many mansions. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again. This is a Jewish wedding. All of it. We're the bride. We're Betula, the Alma, the young woman, waiting for her groom to come and get her. We're in contract already. But now there must be the sealing of the deal. If Donald Trump thinks that he's the king of the art of the deal, Yeshua is better. And so, watch this. This is what? To descend first and then ascend. And we have the order. Remember that we have a rule. It's called the law of first mention. When something is mentioned the first time in Scripture, in Torah, it follows its suit. And so here we have descend and then ascend. And so what does David Kabelik write in Tehillim? That who shall ascend? He who has first descended. Who will ascend? Who shall come down? Who shall take you up? The one who has come down. And so descend and then ascend. Now, understand, I'm not the one who says this. This is what the Chasam speak concerning all of this. This is what the sages say. Not only that, but now we have this. Who comes down? Moshe. Who goes up? Moshe and Aharon. Who is Moshe? Moshe is Goel Yisrael. Everyone say Goel Yisrael. Say it again. Goel Yisrael. What is Goel? From Gula. Gula means the redemption. Everyone say redemption. So what is Goel? Redeemer. Everyone say Redeemer. So Goel, say it. Redeemer. Say it again. Goel, Redeemer. Get Gula. Redemption. We sing this in Adon Olam. We sing, let me get the words exactly for you. They always love it when I leave the camera. We say, Vehu Eli, say, Vehu Eli, Vechai Goali. Vehu Eli, and He is our God, Vechai, and living Goali, our Redeemer, my Redeemer. He is my God and my living Redeemer. Vehu Eli vechai Goali v'tzod chevli v'etzara vehu nisi umanusni menav kosi b'yom ekra. Saying what? He is my God, my living Redeemer. To Him I will flee in times of grief. He is my miracle and my refuge, who answers the day I shall call. Vehu Eli vechai Goali v'tzod chevli v'etzara vehu nisi umanusli menav kosi b'yom ekra. So Goel, the Redeemer. And Moshe is called Goel Yisrael, the Redeemer of Israel. Why is he called Goel Yisrael? Because he is the one who went and stood before Pharaoh and demanded the release of Bnei Israel, of the children of Israel. When God sent him to say to Pharaoh, let my people go. Because it was he who stood face to face with Pharaoh. Because it was he who brought down the 10 plagues. Because it was he whom the children of Israel met with. Because it was he who led them out into the wilderness. Because it was he is called Goel, Redeemer. And they're leaving of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. It's called Geulah, the redemption. By the way, did you know that this is another name for Pesach? Geulah is another name for Passover, the redemption. Why? Because what do you have? The redemption of Israel, starting with who? The redemption of who? The firstborn. And remember that every firstborn from there on becomes dedicated, becomes holy unto God. And that every family must redeem their firstborn. Because why? Because God spared the firstborn of Israel, and He only took the firstborn of whom? Egypt. By the way, do you know why? What is the name for Egypt in Hebrew? Mitzrayim. Everyone say Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim. It's not a good name. It's not a good term. Do you know what Mitzrayim means? Imprisonment. Incarceration. Good term?
No.
Place of imprisonment. That's what Mitzrayim means. And to this day, that is what Israel calls Egypt. Mitzrayim, the prison. We're 4,000 years down the road, and they still consider it the prison. So, Moshe is Goel Israel. He is the Redeemer of Israel. You ready? So, as Goel Israel, as the Redeemer of Israel, what? Descend. Why descend? Because when he ascends, he's going to bring with him who? Aharon. And who is Aharon? Kohen Hagadol. He's going to descend as Redeemer. He's going to ascend with the high priest. Now you remember what we spoke last week concerning Moshe. Moshe, the Chazal, the sages say that Moshe was to be Kohen Hagadol. But what? He bought at the opportunity. He bought, why? The burning bush. Remember the burning bush? Because he said, what? I stutter when I talk. Get somebody else. And God said, okay, I'm going to kill you. And Moshe said, no, I'll go. I'm just not good with speech. God said, hey, I created your tongue. You think I can't put the words in your mouth? And yet, okay. Go get your brother Aharon, and he shall be the spokesman. And so because Moshe declined, Aharon became Kohen Hagadol. And now Moshe is acting in what office? Huh? Redeemer?
Melech.
Say it again?
Melech.
Melech. Everyone say Melech? Melech meaning king. Moshe is acting as the king. He's the leader of the people. And Aharon is acting, is in the office of Kohen Hagadol, the high priest. So you have two characters here. Here we have the nation. Now this is the building of the nation. The birth of the nation, correct? You have the birth of the nation. Notice that the office of king and the office of high priest are not the same. They are by two different people. So, God says to Moshe, go down, descend, as Goel, come back up, king, with whom? You're the Redeemer king, you're Melech Goel, you're the Redeemer and the king and the Redeemer, and you're to bring up with you whom? The high priest. Why? Because in this ascension, you see, Yeshua came down as what? When Yeshua came down, the first time he descended, he comes down as what? Come on, not rocket science here. Moshe comes down as what?
Redeemer.
So Yeshua comes down as Redeemer. What does Yeshua do? He offers himself as a sacrifice. To do what? To redeem Israel. He is the redemption of the firstborn. It is no accident that Yeshua is put to death on what day? Passover, Pesach. Why? It's all about redemption. It's no accident that Yeshua is in fact the firstborn. Why? Because it's all about the redemption of the firstborn. It's all about Geulah. It's all about redemption. The whole reason why Yeshua was crucified, buried, and rose again in the time of Pesach is it's all about Geulah. Remember what I told you? What is another name for Pesach? Geulah. Ha-Geulah. The redemption. So, he takes Aharon up with him. Why? Because when Mashiach descends, he descends as Goel, as a redeemer. When he ascends as Goel the Kohen HaGadol, as redeemer and high priest.
Say it again, please.
When Mashiach descends, he descends as Goel, as the redeemer. When he ascends, when he returns, when he goes back up, he ascends as Goel the Kohen HaGadol, as redeemer and high priest. Saying what? What is the job of the high priest? But what does he do? He offers the sacrifice. He's the officiant of the sacrifices. What does he sacrifice? Come on, what does he sacrifice? Stay with me or I'm going to teach this for another 3 weeks. What does he sacrifice? And specifically?
The lamb.
The lamb. What does Yohanan call Yeshua? Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. You see what's amazing here? He is both the sacrificer and the sacrificee at the same time. He is the Kohen HaGadol offering the sacrifice, but the sacrifice that he offers is himself. Thus he is the Redeemer, he's the Lamb. And he is the intermediary, he is the high priest. He's both. But you remember that I told you that the priest could not be the king. So if you'll turn to Reshit, Genesis chapter 49, we read this last week, we'll read it for you again today because this is the season. He says in verse 8, Yehudah, Judah, so you are. Your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on your enemy's neck. Your father's son will bow to you. A lion's cub is Yehudah. Ari. Little Mermaid, Ariel, the Lion of God. That's what the name means. Ari is a lion. A-R-I. A lion's cub is Yehudah. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He crouches, lies down like a lion or like a lioness. And who would rouse him? Who's going to mess with him? So what is the emblem? What is the symbol of Yehudah, of Ha-Yehudim, of Judah? The lion. And again, as we pointed out last week, in the what do you call them? The stars, the Mazarot. I can only think of the Hebrew. The constellations. You have Virgo, Betula, and at her head is Leo, the lion. Betula is holding in her hand. This is a message for 2 weeks from now. Betula is holding in her hand Tzemach, the seed. The virgin holding the seed. And at her head is Judah. And notice what it says here. The scepter will not pass from Judah, verse 10. The scepter will not pass from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he to whom it belongs will come. That's Mashiach. To whom does the scepter belong? It belongs to Mashiach. He is the king. To him will be the obedience of the peoples. Not people, not singular, but plural. Why? He's the king over all the earth. That the scepter, in other words, what? In order to be king, you must be what? I told you, in order, come on people, stay with me. We'll preach it another 3 weeks. In order to be king, you must be what? From the tribe of Judah. This is why I said Moshe was like a king, but he was not the king. He was never crowned as king. Aharon, is he anointed as the high priest? Is he anointed?
Yes.
Yes. This is the term Mashiach. Everyone say Mashiach. Means to be anointed. So the high priest is acting in the place of Mashiach, of the Messiah. The king is also anointed. Therefore what? He's acting in the place of Mashiach, the Messiah. But from the earthly realm, the king cannot be the priest. And the priest cannot be the king. Because it says here that the king must, that the scepter will not pass from Judah, the ruler's staff from between his feet. It is no mystery, it is no accident that the major star in the constellation of Leo is called Regulus, meaning the ruler, the king. And where is Regulus found? In the front paws of Leo. It shall not pass from between his feet. Until he to whom it belongs will come. To whom does it belong? Mashiach. Why? We call him Mashiach ben David, Messiah, son of David. The major title for Mashiach, the title by whom he is well known, is Melech. He is the king. So we have established that, number one, in order to be Kohen Hagadol, you must be a direct descendant of. To be the Kohen Hagadol, you must be a direct descendant of Aharon, of the tribe of Levi. But you must be a direct descendant of Aharon, specifically. In order to be king, you must be of the tribe of Judah, but now you must also be a direct descendant of David, David Hamelech. You must be a direct descendant. So to be the priest, you must be a direct descendant of Aaron. To be the king, you must be a direct descendant of David. Tribe of Levi, tribe of Judah. Do you see why? The king cannot be the priest and the priest cannot be the king. Because here you must be from Aharon, from Levi. Here you must be from David, from Yehudah.
And to my understanding, if I remember correctly, was the Messiah that came from both, from one side and the other one. He was the only one that was able to go into the temple. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
The high priest was the only one permitted to go into the Holy of Holies. And only on Yom Kippur. Only the high priest.
But the Messiah, he's coming from both, right?
So, turn to the book of Luke, chapter 2. So you see why I repeat myself a lot. This is why. Not for what she's saying, but because we forget these things. We forget. So this is why I go over things and over them and over them. Why? Because eventually you're going to remember. Right? You say it enough times?
Yes.
This is why we repeat a lot. So in Luke chapter 2, we do not start off with the birth of Yeshua, but rather we start off with the birth of Yochanan. Who is Yochanan? The same Yochanan who proclaims him to be the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Who is he? He is the first cousin of Yeshua.
And the priest.
We'll get to that. He's the first cousin of Yeshua. Okay? Which means what? If he's first cousin, that means what? If he's first cousin, that means he's what? They are related. Everybody say related.
Related.
Not only are they related, but it is a very close relation. So close that marriage is not permitted between a man and a woman who are first cousins. Meaning that Yochanan's mother and father are Yeshua's aunt and uncle. That Yeshua's mother and father are Yochanan's aunt and uncle. That's how closely related they are. The first cousin is almost a sibling. And that's why the marriage between the two are forbidden. Because they are almost like brothers and sisters. Is everybody with me? So Yochanan and Yeshua are first cousins. In the days of Herod, king of Judah, there was a Kohen, a priest named Zechariah, from the priestly division of Abiyah. Elishabet, his wife, was from the daughters of Aharon. Say what? She is a direct descendant. So is Zechariah, but she is a direct descendant of whom? Aaron. Say what? She is in the line of
The
priests. And yet, John and Jesus, Yochanan and Yeshua are first cousins. Saying what? He has the blood of a Kohen in him as well. Saying what? In their family line is running both Levi and Judah, both David and Aaron. You see, it is Mary and Elizabeth, Miriam and Elishabet, who are related. Elishabet from the side of the Kohanim, and Miriam from the side of the Melachim. And thus you have united in one human being, Yeshua HaMashiach. You have what? The blood of both the king and the priest. Therefore, guess what? He is eligible to act as both.
So then I was right?
You're correct. I took 20 minutes to answer your question.
No, yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay because I was going there anyway.
Yeah, but I decided I'm gonna move because you're gonna throw me with a conference, and it's better if I get out of your way.
1 Timothy chapter 2. What is the job of the Kohen? He is the mediator. He is the mediator. He is the go-between. He is the abogado. He's the advocate. He's the one who goes between the one side to the other side. This is the job of the Mashiach. The job of the Kohen Hagadol, the job of the high priest, is to represent the people to God and represent God to the people. This is what the Day of Atonement is all about. When the Kohen Hagadol would enter into the sanctuary, would enter into the Kodesh Kodeshim, into the Holy of Holies, with the sacrifice, with the blood, he would actually enter in 3 times. He would enter in the first time on behalf of himself. He would enter in the second time on behalf of Israel. And he would enter in the third time on behalf of the nations. The redemption of the firstborn that he would enter in on behalf of himself. The redemption of Israel that he would enter in the second time on behalf of the nation. And then the redemption of the entire world that he would enter in the third time on behalf of the nations. He's going between. He's acting as an act of mediation. That is, he goes to the one party who has been offended, and he makes a deal. He goes to the other party who is the offender, and he makes a deal. Look, this is what they're saying. This is what, and so he's going back and forth. This is what the high priest did. He was like a lawyer who went between the two sides. This is why. What does Moshe, what does Aharon do? God speaks to them, and they do what? They take the message to the people. Then the people speak to Moshe, and what? He takes their message to God. He's the mediator. He's the advocate going between the two. And here we find in 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 4, it says that it says, this is good and pleasing in the sight of God our Savior. He desires all men to be saved and come into the knowledge of the truth. Watch, for there is one God and there is one mediator between God and men. What's another way of saying mediator? That there is one Kohen Hagadol. There's one high priest between the two. What is the job of the Kohen Hagadol? What is the job of the high priest? To mediate. Therefore, saying what? We have one mediator between us and God. Who is it? Adam Yeshua, Mashiach Yeshua. The man, Messiah Yeshua. Who gave himself a ransom for all. Saying what? Goel. Geulah, redemption, the Redeemer. The mediator who is also the Redeemer. Saying what? The high priest who doesn't offer something else but rather offers himself. And the Chazal tell us that this is the sign of a true tzaddik. The sign of a true tzaddik is a tzaddik will offer himself for the people. A true righteous man does not offer something or someone else, but rather he offers himself for the sins of the people. By all accounts of everything that is written, according to Talmud, according to Mishnah Torah, by its own account, Yeshua is a tzaddik because he followed Torah explicitly. And then he offers himself. He sacrifices himself for the people. And it is the Chazal that say this is the sign of a true tzaddik. So what do we see here? We see Yeshua as what? Priest. Say it with me. Priest and king. Say it with me. Priest and king. He works in both roles. So, curious thing happens in the life of Yeshua. Turn, if you would, to Matthew 17. After 6 days, Yeshua takes with him Kefa and Yaakov and Yochanan, his brother, and brings them up a high mountain by themselves. Now he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as light. You ready? Verse 3. Who appears with him? Behold, Kineh, behold. Moshe ve'Eliyahu. Say it. Moshe and Elijah. Say it. Appeared to them talking with Yeshua. So how many do we have now?
3.
3. So what do you have here? You have in effect Moshe's representing Torah. Eliyahu is representing, and Yeshua is representing Melech. Melech, Navi, Kohanim. Who do you have here? The 3. The prophet, the priest, and the king. You say, but wait a minute, I thought Aharon was the priest. Remember what I said? Moshe was the intended priest. Aharon is the standard. Here you have the 3 of them together. In Deuteronomy chapter 18, it says, Adonai Elokecha, the Lord your God, will raise up a prophet like me. This is Moshe speaking to the people. Adonai Elokecha will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your own brothers, and you must listen to him. Adonai said to me, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brethren. I will put my word in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I command him. If anyone does not listen to my word that the prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. Who is the prophet like unto Moshe? Mashiach. The sages, the rabbis tell us this. It is Mashiach who is the prophet who is like Moshe. In fact, they call him the prophet greater than Moshe. Moshe is considered to be the greatest prophet of all time. Mashiach will be the greater prophet. This is why Eliyahu appears on the Mount of Transfiguration, because these people know this, that there shall appear a prophet who is greater than Moshe. It's not Eliyahu, it's Yeshua. And here it is that Eliyahu and Moshe are appearing with Yeshua, the three of them at the same time, metaphorically telling us what? You have here the prophet, the priest, and the king. All three of them wrapped up, bound up in who? Yeshua. One more place before we close. The book Ivrim, Hebrew, chapter 3. We must move quickly. So, Hebrews chapter 3, verse 1, therefore, holy brothers and sisters, partners in heavenly calling, take notice of Yeshua, the emissary. What is that? The mediator, the go-between, the representative, and Kohen Hagadol, we affirm, the high priest. He was faithful to the one who appointed him to his house. By the way, what house did he come from? You're going to see something building here. Yes, say it again loud. He comes from the house from Ben David, from the house of David, from the house of Judah. And yet here he's called Kohen Hagadol. He's faithful to his house as also Moshe was faithful to his. For he has been considered worthy of more glory than Moshe. Even the builder of the house has more honor than the house. Verse 6, but Mashiach as son is over God's house, and we are his house. Let's go to chapter 4. Verse 14, therefore, since we have a great Kohen Hagadol, a great high priest, who has passed through the heavens. What? How did we start today? That Moshe had to first what? Descend and then do what? Ascend. With who? With Aharon, who is what? Kohen Hagadol. Therefore, we have a great Kohen Hagadol who has passed through the heavens. That is what? He descended and then ascended. Yeshua ben Elohim, Yeshua the Son of God. Let us hold firmly to our confessed allegiance, for we do not have a Kohen Hagadol who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all the same ways, yet without sin. Therefore, let us draw near to the throne of grace with boldness, so that we may receive mercy and find grace for our help in time of need. You have some continued explanation of all of this from in Hebrews chapter 5. Move to chapter 6. Verse 13, now when God made his promise to Abraham, since he could swear by no one greater, he swore by himself, saying, surely I will bless you and surely I will multiply you. Saying what? Listen, the anti-Semitic idea that God has broken his covenant with Israel, that God has divorced Israel or what have you. Does the prophet say that God said he was divorcing Israel? Yes. It's a metaphor. It's an allegory. But understand this, and this is why I believe that once you come into faith, you cannot lose faith. Saying what? Once you come into the act of salvation, What? So I have a son. He's sitting in the back there in the blue shirt.
Should we look?
Well, if you don't want to be scared, don't look. Okay? So he's my son. For how long is he my son?
Forever.
For how long? So let me ask you a question. Has he ever disobeyed me? Rich, have you ever disobeyed me?
Yes.
Has he ever disappointed me? Has he ever upset me? Is he no longer my son because he's done these things? Am I no longer his father because he upset me, because he disobeyed me, because he aggravated me, because he made me angry? He's still my son, and I still love him with all my heart. The same is true with you. God does not kick you out of his family because you make a mistake or because you mess up, even because you disobey, even because you upset him. He's disappointed with you, these things. God does not kick you out of his family for these things. What kind of father does that? Yeshua himself said that the Father holds you in the grasp of his palm, and no man can take you out of the Father's hand. No man means what? No man means what? Come on, not a trick question. No man means no man. That means you. I cannot take myself out of the Father's hand. Why? Because God's covenant with Abraham was not made with Abraham. It was made for Abraham. God's covenant with you is not made with you. It's made for you. Say what? Abraham had no part of the covenant, nor do you have any part of the covenant. All you do is emunah. You have faith. You trust the covenant. In fact, Abraham had so little part of the covenant. Where was he when the covenant was made? He was asleep. This is what it means when it says, now when God made his promise, that's the covenant, the break with Abraham, since he could swear by no other, saying what? Abraham did not swear himself to the covenant. Abraham is not a testator. He did not sign the document. He was asleep. Who signs the document? God, and God alone signs the document, no other. The covenant is not made between you and God. The covenant is made between God and himself. You are the recipient of the covenant, but the covenant is not with you. The covenant is with himself. How many of you have ever said this? I promised myself I would never do that again. Did you promise someone else? Your covenant is not with someone else. Your covenant is with who? Now, it may benefit someone else. We are the beneficiaries of the covenant. But the covenant is with God. What do you mean with God? It's between God and God. He's the only agent. He's the only one involved in the covenant. And why is this important? Because would Abraham fail God? Would Abraham fail God? Come on, would Abraham fail God?
Yes.
Hi, people. Would Abraham fail God?
Yes.
Yes. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Every human being is a sinner. We all fall short. There is none who is righteous, not even one. So if it was that the covenant was made between God and Abraham was a testator, he was an agent, he was the signer of the document, and he broke it, then what? Then God kicks him off because he broke the treaty. He broke the contract. When you break the contract, the deal is done. It's over with. And this is why God specifically did not make the contract with man. He made it with himself. He put man to sleep. He makes the contract with himself. Why? Because we're going to break the contract and it will be over. But if he makes it with himself, he will never break the contract, he does not sin. He cannot sin. Therefore, the contract will never be broken. He does not die. He cannot die. The contract will never be broken. Saying what? That God's contract is an eternal contract. It is forever and ever. Therefore, Israel cannot get out of the contract. Because the contract was not made with them, it was made for them. Nor can you get out of the contract. Because it was not made with you, it was made for you. You didn't die. You didn't shed your blood. You didn't do anything. He did it all. You did absolutely nothing. He did it all. This is what he's saying here. Since he could swear by no one greater. He swore by whom? Himself. Saying what? That there is no greater name. What does the scripture say? There is no greater name than the name Yeshua. That at the name of Yeshua, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that he is the Lord. For the glory of God. Saying, surely I will bless you and surely I will multiply you. So after waiting patiently, Abraham reached the promise, for people swear by someone greater, the oath as confirmation in an end to all their disputing. In the same way, God, determining to point out more clearly to the heirs of the promise the unchanging nature of his purpose, guaranteed it with an oath. He guaranteed it. Not you guaranteed it. He guaranteed it by his own oath, by his own name. So by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled for refuge might have strong encouragement to take hold of the hope set before us, saying, what? You always have hope. You always have something to live for. Why? Because God cannot lie. And He covenanted not through you, not by your name, but He covenanted by His own name. And He cannot lie. Therefore what? You are sealed. That's why it's called being sealed. You cannot be released. You belong to Him. We have this hope as an anchor of the soul, both firm and steady. What? You can trust in the salvation that God offers to you. If you cannot trust in anything else, you can trust in the salvation that God offers to you. And He will not take it back. He does not take back His word. He did not lie to you when He said that He was saving you to eternity. And you say, but I sin and I do this and I do that and I break Torah and I do this and I do that. And so does everybody else. That's not the point. The point is that you have accepted the contract that God made for you on your behalf. That's it. It's yours free and clear. Now, in saying that, I will tell you one more time that a person who has accepted this contract, there will be a change in your life. You're not going to live the same way. Are you going to sin? Yes. 1 John chapter 1 tells us we sin. We make mistakes and we make wrong choices. But what does He say? If we confess our sin, He's faithful and just to forgive us our sin and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So be firm and be steady. A hope that enters the inner place behind the curtain, saying, what? That's the Holy of Holies. Verse 20, we close. Yeshua has entered there, a forerunner on our behalf, having become Kohen Gadol forever, according to Melchizedek. And here we have a curious thing. Melchizedek. Melchi,
King.
my king. Tzedek,
Righteous.
my righteous king. Wait a minute. Melchizedek, king, but he just called him what? Kohen Hagadol, the high priest. And yet he calls him what? My king. My priest. My king. Melchizedek, this is to whom Abraham offered the tithe. Remember? after he went and rescued Lot and his family. And he offers a tithe to Melchizedek, who also goes by the name Melchizedek, my righteous king, my king of peace. Melchizedek is the king of where? You remember the story? Jerusalem. Yeru, city of Shalom, city of peace. So, cool thing, as we close. If this hasn't been an upper for you already, I hope it has. The sages tell us Melchizedek is none other than Shem, the son of Noah. In the story, we're not given his name, which is why Hebrews will go on to say that this is one without name and without ancestry. Because his ancestry is not given to us in the Torah. But the tradition is that this is Shem. Now, the reason why we question this, why would you question this, that this is in fact Shem? Because Abraham's meeting with Shem. And that kind of boggles our mind. Why does it boggle your mind? I'll tell you why. Because you say Shem's way over there. Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Well, actually, and then right, and Abraham was way over here. Abraham and Sarah and all of these people. No. When you read the chronology, Shem is actually still alive at the time of Abraham. He lives for some 600 years. And that he is the founder of Jerusalem. He is the, why Shem, why would Abraham be meeting with Shem? Well, remember, who is Abraham descended from? Shem. That's his great-great-grandfather. The Shemites, the Semites, Semitic. Abraham is a direct descendant of Shem. So why wouldn't he go visit his great-grandfather? Would you go visit your great-great-grandfather? Would you go visit your great-great-grandfather?
Yes.
So that's what the Chazal say. This is his great-great-grandfather. He's still alive. He's the founder of Jerusalem. And Abraham goes to see him after defeating the kings who have ripped off Lot. Melchizedek, the king of righteousness. Cool thing for us to think about. So, prophet, priest, king. All wrapped into who? By the way, what's the magic number there?
3.
Oh, there it is, right? There's that number again. Prophet, priest, and king, all wrapped up in one. Who? Mashiach, the Messiah. This is not Christian teaching. This is Judaism. All of this that I've given to you today is Judaism. It's the study of the Mashiach. It's the study of the Messiah. And you will find this all in Jewish sources. Now, it's cool that Christianity teaches this, but what? Go to the source. Go to the root. Where does it come from? Judaism. And so we rejoice that we have a prophet, a priest, and a king. And our priest, what? He's touched with compassion by our infirmities. And we can go to him boldly. And you know, you can pour your heart and your soul out to him. And He understands. And He doesn't get tired of you. He doesn't grow weary with you. What a great high priest. So, Rich, would you close?
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, for opportunity for us all to be together, Lord, to learn and to grow. Pray now that you bless us and you come upon us, Lord, that we be a blessing to others, Lord, and that you just move upon us, Father. Pray that you think us back in faith, next Shabbat. Choose you to pray.
So stand for the blessing. You would lift up your hand. Yevareka Adonai ve'yishmereka. Ya'er Adonai pnei v'lecha v'yichunecha. Yir Adonai pnei v'lecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai shine His face upon you and be gracious to you. May Adonai lift up His countenance upon you and give you His peace from Sarcha Shalom Yeshua Mashiach, the Prince of Peace, Yeshua the Messiah. In room? Amen. Shabbat Shalom.